Welcome to GamerStation's Browser Games of the Week for the week of February 19th. And I'm your host, Steven Snakeyukin Lindsay. And yes, I know, this is supposed to be up on Sunday, but YouTube kept eating our videos last week, so that got us behind on all this stuff, so I'm sorry. But we're also going to be trying out a new format for our videos. We're going to try it for a few weeks, and if enough people complain, we'll switch it back. But if we don't hear a lot of complaints or people like it, we'll keep it that way. What we're going to be doing is having it as a top 10 browser games of the week. Now, we'll still have the other good games that came out this week below in our description box, but only the top 10 will be in our video. Why, you might be wondering? Well, this means that we don't have to worry about having multiple videos for these browser games of the week, which at times can be a little stressful. And second of all, it allows us to talk about the games individually longer, because in the old way, we had to kind of hurry through each game because we had a lot to get to. So let's get into our list for this week. Number 10, Piano Talent Valentines. If you've been wanting to play a piano, then perhaps this game will help you feel that way. It can be played with up to 3 players on the same keyboard, but playing it single player might be a little hard if you choose to play with the entire keyboard. Why is this, you might be wondering? Because it can sometimes expect you to quickly move from the arrow keys to the letters. Now, this wouldn't be a big deal if it was your right hand, but when it's your left hand and you have put your left hand on the right hand positions that you were taught in keyboarding class, then prepare to quit the song or to screw up a whole lot. Also, these songs can be a little slow, but it's entertaining to be playing some of those classic songs, even if they are kind of slow. Number 9, Space Cadet Shooter. There's a war between 2 different species, humans and, like always, an alien species called Dominion. You are a new space cadet who must save several other cadets who have been separated from the rest of the group. Just be warned though, there are several enemy ships, turrets, and lasers that want you dead. At the end of each world, you'll face against a boss ship. Now, most of these levels aren't that challenging, but the boss fights can be hard. Or maybe that's just the first one and I just kind of sucked at it. But hey, at least he was nice enough to put a target on himself saying, "Hey, fire right here!" Number 8, Attractor. The premise of the game is simple. Guide an orb to a black hole. To do so, you must click on stars which draw this orb towards them in something else that pushes them away. Guiding them to a black hole starts off easy enough, but it'll soon become harder and harder when the routes become more and more complex and there are several different orbs on screen at the same time. The only downside is that there isn't an ability to select the stages at all, and the difficulty on some of these levels can vary greatly between them. Number 7, Chrono Day Sim Date. Okay, I've never been a big fan of dating sims. I have no problem saying that. Sure, there are a few that I consider myself getting into somewhat, but there isn't really a lot of those out there. This isn't one of those, but it is one of those simplified ones that I didn't have to stress about having to raise certain stats to be able to have someone interested in my character in one way or another. Your character is a girl whom you can name whatever you want, and she can freely move between the present and the past. Just not at the beginning. You can choose to date several characters from both time frames, including one girl in the past. I didn't beat the game, but I can assume that if you choose to fall in love with someone in the past, you'll stay in the past, but if you fall for someone in the present, you'll stay in the present. Why is that? Because there's a time hole that closes in a month, so your ability to go between time will then be mute whenever it closes. Just really wish they didn't use static every time a character is surprised or startled. Oh, wait, they changed it, so never mind. Number 6, Memories of You. Okay, I know I mentioned in our previous week's video that I don't like these Find the Difference game, but this one seems a little different to me. This game tries to tell a touching story through its scenes, and as you find differences in one photo on a page, another one will be added, at least till the page is filled with pictures. There are also multiple endings to the game, but I'm not really sure how to get any different ones because I kept getting the same one. I would have likely put this in the game for this week if only there wasn't a human element of an elderly person looking through these photos, as they're looking back on the past and how, perhaps, their memory of these scenes differs slightly from what was there. And I like that element. We're halfway through the list, so let's take a look at our classic browser game of the week. This is where we choose a classic browser game, one that's over a year old, that we still like to play. And our pick for this week is Obey the Game. Okay, I will admit, I never heard of this game till recently, and I really wonder why I haven't. You control an elephant who must survive in the game as long as he can. The game has a WarioWare feel to it, where there are several simple mini-games that you must complete. The longer you go on, the faster they become, and thus they become harder. The twist is that sometimes the word disobey will pop up on screen. When this happens, you must go against what you're supposed to be doing in that game. Say in one game, you are supposed to survive. When disobey pops up, you're supposed to kill yourself instead of survive. The game always keeps you on your toes, and it's fun too. Getting back to our list, at number 5 is Spent. This seems like a game that is meant to make you depressed. Or maybe that's just me. As soon as you start the game, it tells you to imagine that you're unemployed. Which really isn't that hard considering I've been trying to get a job for the last 4 years. Okay, I'm 20 years old and technically those have been part-time jobs except for recently, but still. After that, you're given 3 choices on what type of job you want to have. When you choose, it's time to make some other decisions. How far do you want to live away? Do you want healthcare? Do you want this or that? And blah, blah, blah. After several of those decisions, it will often tell you something about how most people in the working class will do this or that because they're unable to afford something, as if most of us probably don't understand that already. Your overall goal is to have money by the end of the month, which is harder said than done, really. It seems like almost every day or two, some expense will pop up. Some that will cost a few $100s, or about $500 or $600 sometimes. I know it's realistical to have bills and stuff, but some forewarning to prioritize my money would have been nice. Number 4, The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby is a classic work of literature that I have yet to get to reading. I'll get to it eventually, like all those other classics I've still yet to pick up. So, as I haven't read the story, I have no idea on what the game is supposed to be about. You're this fellow who has issues with waiters, butlers, alligators, gangsters, and baseball players? He likes to throw his head at all of his enemies, and he must be lined with something. The game is very reminiscent of games from my youth, those on the NES. It may not have the difficulty as some of those games did, but the classic life bar, coins, points, lives, etc. are all there. While I haven't read the original work, I liked and had fun with this game. A lot. Number 3, Drill Boyd. You are a robot who is sent to several caves, which you can choose from anywhere on the map. Click somewhere, there's likely going to be a cave right there. And each of these caves are full of alien goodness. Your goal is to find an orb that is located in each of these caves and to bring them back to your ship. Your robot can shoot at the creatures that get in your way, drill through rocks, and he can also roll into a ball to protect himself from certain elements. As well as finding those orbs, it's probably wise to find the gems that are located in each of these caves. Anyways, I have 2 brief problems with this game. First, it can be hard to find these orbs sometimes. More of this is in the larger caves, but sometimes in the smaller caves as well. And the second is that it's another game with no pause button, but it has one that pauses the game whenever you click on something outside the window or go to something that isn't in your browser, but still it always begs the question, why can't we just have a normal pause button like every other game out there? Anyways, As this is still a game that is being updated and is in alpha, this may be fixed in the future, as well as other improvements. Number 2, Amiya. You have awoken an island that appears to have tons of zombies, and you appear to have amnesia and only remember a strange dream you had prior. Okay, that's not the most original for an opening or story or anything, but the zombies do quickly go away for other enemies as you begin to unravel the mystery to your amnesia in the dreams. The game is a fun action RPG that, though I do have several complaints, I couldn't really put it down after a while. So assume everything else in the game is good, besides what I'm about to complain about. Movement can be a little twitchy sometimes, and as you can move through enemies while you're attacking, you will often end up with your back to them and having yourself wide open and possibly dying. Also, the game has voice actors, which is always good, but a few of them just seem off. Sure, Rena Chan sounds pretty good, like always, and some of the others I see around a lot on the forums or I've been in productions with, but a few of those characters didn't sound that convincing, are off, or are just too emotional, like this guy.
I searched everywhere for you. I'm so glad you've returned. I've missed you so very much.
Also, this is a minor complaint, but it seems like the director didn't tell anyone how to say Amiya. One says Amiya, one says Amiya, one says Almiya, whatever. But besides those, it's a good and fun game, but not as much as our number 1 game. And our number 1 browser game for this week is Burrito Bison. I have a soft spot for a good distance game, and Burrito Bison is one. One day, while Burrito Bison is shopping at a grocery store, a gummy bear hand comes from a Candyland bag and takes him to the land of gummy bears, Candyland. Now Burrito Bison must escape so he can fight in the ring again another day. At least I assume he fights in the ring because he sure looks like a luchador fighter. There are 2 new elements that I can see in this game from other distance games. First is that Burrito Bison has an ability to give a body slam through his flight to give him a brief extra bounce, and this move can also be recharged, which, unlike other games that have a recovery bounce, those usually don't recharge over time. Second is that the area is divided into different areas by doors, and the only way you can break through them is if you have enough speed, which sometimes can be a little harder said than done if you hit the wrong gummy bears. Also, like all good distance games, there's an upgrade system in this game. The only issue I experienced with this game is that it can sometimes glitch and the background will screw up. But I've only noticed this on the Congregate version of it, so if you play it on Newgrounds, you're probably not going to experience it unless I've been lucky over there. And with that, that brings us to the end of this week's list. Now if you don't know, each and every Sunday, outside of those rare occurrences like last week, we'll have up a new video in our Browser Game of the Week series. Also on Wednesdays, except this Wednesday will be up on Friday or Saturday, we have up our Gamer Station Indie Game News, which will be talking about some of the latest news in the indie gaming world. So to be up to date on all of that, just simply subscribe to us. It only takes 1 click. And to be up to date on all of our other stuff, follow us on Twitter or on Facebook. And please let us know if you like the new format of these videos.